Okay, clock says it's time to call this meeting to order. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see. Shall we start with the roll call, Timika?
Ms. Purcival? Here. Mr. Costigan? Mr. Sidlow?
Here.
Mrs. Solicitor?
Here.
Mr. Perry?
Here.
Mr. Engineer?
Here.
Mr. Bull?
Here.
Madam President?
Here.
Mr. Powers?
Here.
Treasurer doesn't seem to be here.
Okay. She was.
The
Okay.
mayor.
And the mayor is not
And
here.
the mayor is not in attendance.
Thank you very much. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last month? I'll accept a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the minutes from the July meeting.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Is there any correspondence?
Yes. To the members of Parkside Borough Council, I recently submitted a right-to-know request for information related to vendor and contractor payments for the years of 2019 through 2021. I had several questions related to the data I received. First, there are several cash payments each year attributed to petty cash, with no record provided of who spent it or on what. Is there information recorded anywhere who is authorized to spend it? And what limitations are there on what the money is and can be used for? I find it alarming that this money is seemingly unaccounted for, and I suspect many of you as well, considering some of your reservations about the borough debit card and the accountability of its use, as was discussed in earlier meeting. The total petty cash amount spent per year as follows. 2019, $3,328.42. 2020, $3,055.51. And for the year 2021, $2,746.36. Secondly, the right to know revealed former councilman Nick Capobianco was reimbursed $7,941.99 on 7/15/2021 for COVID cleaning. In several meetings last year, it's noted that Mr. Capobianco was cleaning and sanitizing the building and police cars as his own expense, costing the borough nothing. If that was true, what was the nearly $8,000 for a reimbursement for? Given the large size of this payment, was this an expense approved by council? I don't recall seeing it voted or discussed on at any council meetings. Thank you for your time, Kyle Palmer. And then I have also the tax collector's letter. Good evening. Treasurer has received $1,124,132.75. There was $10,517.12 in revenue deposited from July 6, 2022 to August 10, 2022. Regards, Ed Fisher.
Okay, and the mayor's not here. Did she leave a report?
Yes, I have the mayor's report. The mayor's report for July 1st, 2022 to July 31st, 2022. Crimes reported in July, 7. Criminal mischief, 1. Theft, 4. Assault, 1. Curfew violation, 1. Calls for service, 94. Most prevalent, suspicious person, 6. Medical emergencies, 5. Assistance to other agencies, 28. Domestics, 7. Accidents, 2. Traffic details, 13. Motor vehicle stops, 20. Traffic citations, 16, and warning, 0.
Thank you very much. And I understand that the young man who was last year's scholarship recipient is here to be recognized, and I understand Ms. Purcival is going to present him.
Thank you. Is Karan? How are you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is our last year's recipient for our scholarship, Karan Fortune. And I'm very pleased to introduce him to council. And I thank you so much. I know you have your certificate with you. And what we'd like you to do is just to tell our council and our community what you've accomplished in this last year.
And this last year, I accomplished a lot of processing involvement, including SMAW shielded metal arc welding, gas metal arc welding, flux core arc welding, and TIG welding. So, and I do have my certification in SMAW.
Excellent. Thank you.
And we won't consider it rude if you don't stay for the entire meeting. Let's see, and do you know anything about what community award means?
Ms. Purcival.
Oh, okay.
Mrs. Mayor had a cleanup recently in which numerous young members of our community participated. I don't know that if anybody is here, but we had Bryson Stone. We have a certificate for him. We have Shane Stone. These are really thick. Ryan Stone. Meadow McGettigan. I don't know if her mom's here, but we'll make sure she gets that. And we also have Riley Haynes, and I believe her mom's here. Thank you. Thank you for your involvement. Amelia McCollum, don't know if she's here. Daniel, I know, is on vacation with his grandmother. Meadow McGettigan, Bella Flick. But these are the young people who have all helped on a cleanup. And I'm so thrilled to know that our young, especially very young people, are involved in our community. And we will have these certificates given out to the children's family. And thank you.
And now it is time for call to citizens, agenda-related items only, if you'd like to say something about something that's on the agenda. Okay? And please state your name for the secretary.
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Ken Goldstein. I was here last month, and I really do promise not to make it a habit, but I'll do one more time. I reside in, and I speak to you this evening as one of your constituents, a taxpayer, and as a voter. I am given the privilege to address you this evening under the call to citizens of agenda-related items only. I received this morning from Timika, who has been very, very kind, tonight's agenda. I received it this morning. On it, there were two issues, the firehouse resolution and the police agreement, and both of them seem to provoke some passion and some energy. There's a whole lot more that I don't know about these two issues that are going to be voted upon than I do know, and that shouldn't be. You on council represent me by the authority of the ballot box, and all of you are there to act in our stead as your constituents. I am simply asking for transparency so that I as a citizen and all members of this council have all the information that we need to make intelligent and informed decisions about the issue at hand. Issues should be voted upon by members of council after receiving input from your constituents where warranted, but we can't offer input when we are in the dark. These issues should be voted upon after you have provided reasonable notice to the public and all members of council. And we have a website that can help accommodate just that. We are fortunate and blessed to have a fully functioning fire department within the borough, staffed by dedicated volunteers who not only sacrifice considerable amounts of their time of self and of their families, but willing to sacrifice life and limb to protect the citizens and property of Parkside. Fire departments require funding to provide their services, and council requires accountability of that funding as a fiduciary of the people. So no one can be in disagreement with either one of those premises, but unnecessary burdens attached to the above serve no purpose. We too are fortunate and blessed to have our own fully functioning police department, employees who put their lives on the line every day and every night to protect the citizens and property of this borough. They too need funding to protect our citizenry. When they are short-staffed, we need to look for immediate, comparative, and competitive solutions to their situation. I can only offer the opinion of one person, but when I look at a municipal budget, police and fire services take first seat. They are here to protect the public, health, safety, and welfare, and we should be doing anything and everything to support those ends and not to be obstructionist. Please allow your constituents constructive and timely input to some of these major issues. We truly want to help for the good of all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nicole Boyers. To piggyback off the last speaker, likewise, the agenda was posted this morning on the Facebook page. I was informed that it was posted on the door last night. We don't live in the dark ages. We didn't even know that they post on the door, but it was not on the website. Also, the resolutions are not available. The firehouse one is available online for review. The police one is not available at all on the door or on the website. It is extremely crucial to us as residents to have a proper police presence. It has come to my knowledge that we had 37 uncovered shifts this month, August this month, like the month's not even over yet. 3 medical calls, no coverage, no police presence. Brookhaven was covering. When they cover, they don't patrol. They may show up on a 911 call. 3 medical calls, no police showed up. Fire team showed up, and I guess EMS, Crozier, came out. One of them was a heart attack. They were carted off. The police have AEDs in their cars. So without that, without a proper negotiation, we assume that this resolution that we haven't seen is something to do with Brookhaven. We don't even know. We don't know if Upland has been negotiated with. We don't know if Chester is a part of this, of who's going to cover this. One thing that we do know, we didn't have this problem with the prior council under Ms. Purcival's as president, and when we had a different political party. But since the Democrats have taken over, so we just 37 shifts without coverage is sad. And with all the kids' bicycles that have been stolen, apparently like a dozen of them in one day. I mean, it's not one thing that we can stop. We can't stop all the thefts and stuff, but with police presence, we don't worry so much. Suspicious persons is a big thing. We don't need council shaking their heads and rolling their eyes, Mr. Sidlow, over something that is so important to us and critical to our safety, our children's safety. As crime is going up all over the county, Philadelphia County, we need to have proper patrolling coverage, and we need to be a part of this so we can speak on it properly. So today you're calling to vote on something that we haven't even seen. Therefore, I hope at least one council member and a second will ask to table the resolution because we have not been able to see it. That is what should be done under the Sunshine Act. I would also ask the same thing be done for the firehouse resolution because a couple hours doesn't give us anything to review. Thank you.
Michelle Skerback. This isn't, I hear giggling, I see eye rolling. You know what? This is our lives we're working with here, that we're dealing with here. This isn't about whether a Democrat did this or a Republican did this. This is about a council as a whole. And I feel like when things are brought to the table to be voted on, that not everybody knows about it. And the research, when research is done, everybody should be involved on it. Everybody should be invited to the meeting. Council, look it up. What does it mean? A governing body that was elected by us. Elected by us. You're paying too for it. You're residents. Like, what's going on? These meetings used to be an hour long. Well, they're now 2 hours long because it seems like not everybody's together. Not everybody's with it. Get on the same page. Transparency is all I see when we're voting. Transparency. Where is the transparency? You guys asked it when you were on this side. Now you're on that side and I still don't see it. So where is it? Work together. I don't know how many times we said it. And it's the same people coming up because there are other residents that don't want to speak up that I hear in my ear, Michelle, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, come to the meetings. I can't. I have work. Speak up. We're tired. I said, do it. Come. If not, write a letter. Timika will read it out loud. Did you watch the meetings? Write a letter because they don't want to be up here for everybody looking or giggling at them because they're speaking. This is not about whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican. This is about I'm a resident in this town. And if I call 911 and my house is on fire, I hope it's Parkside coming. Because if not, I probably already lost a part of my house because I have to wait for another township to come. Vice versa. If I call the police, I know there's a shortage. But do the research before you just go with one and make sure everybody knows it. Make sure everyone knows it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of coming here. Why do you think I'm doing this? There's videos for people to see. Get it together, please. Get it together so we don't have to do these right-to-knows. I would really like to know how many right-to-knows were sent wanting information. If you guys put it out there and work together as a team, I guarantee we wouldn't have all these right-to-knows and we wouldn't be spending more money, the solicitor, having to pay the solicitor to look up all this information for us. Just listen to what I'm saying. It's not about my party affiliation. I'm a resident. This is what's right.
Okay. Let's see. For the President's report, I do not have much. I would like to apologize because I failed to acknowledge the passing of former Mayor Gordon at the last meeting. And so I didn't actually know her. I know that she was active with the rec committee and liked to attend the 4th of July and give out the candy and stuff like that. I've asked Doug if he would say a few things about her since I am not really in a position to opine much.
I mean, she was a wonderful woman. She was definitely a leader in the community. It was sad to hear her passing, but her and her husband were thick like thieves, and his passing, I believe, was over the winter. The heart, sometimes that does happen. But our first female mayor, she was on council for years. She was definitely a stalwart for the citizens, and she will be missed. It would have. I know she moved to Florida for a good reason, but she loved Parkside more than anything else. And that's pretty much how I would sum up, knowing Ardell Gordon. So.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so now, if you'd like to come up, Chief, and give your report.
Excuse me, Madam President, can I, under your report, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
I've sent emails, and I apologize to the rest of the council for bringing this to the public, but I'm not getting a response from my emails. The first one was the financial meeting that we had that was recorded, advertised in the paper. My second question I'm not getting any response to. Right to know completed form is public document, but we have not received any copies of the same. And those are the 2 questions I have repeatedly asked and received no response to.
Okay. As far as the first one, I had no idea that it was customary for everybody in council to get right-to-know requests, since I never got any when I was on council. And I know you've tried to deny that, but I have never gotten copied on a right-to-know.
Well, Mr. Sidlow said this is a new
years.
regime, so maybe we could start a new policy that all
So
of
you want
council
me to do it
gets it.
differently than you? Okay, that's fine. I'll take that down. All right, I'll share.
When did I say it was a
I
new
would
regime?
say-
Several
Madam-
months ago.
Madam President, Madam,
Whatever. We'll make
I
this
don't
up.
think the right to know request is 100% public or anything like that, because there can be a lot to it. But the right to know response should
Certainly.
absolutely be shared.
Absolutely.
with council.
I don't disagree.
At the
So,
very
and I think in
bottom,
the past, but historically, I remember maybe 3 right to knows a year. It was about, a contractor that wanted some information, and as of lately, the right to know, and everybody's got the right to know. But I do think that it may be getting borderline abusive to our secretary, to be perfectly honest, with all of council.
And your second to your first question regarding the meeting. The meeting didn't have a quorum, so we did not have to advertise. We were going to advertise in the Chester Spirit, and we verified that because it was not a quorum, we did not need to advertise. So that is why you don't see anything for the advertising.
unfortunately, we did have a quorum. It should have been advertised, but
Well,
We agreed at the last meeting it wasn't going to be advertised.
and
no, the solicitor at
No,
that
we were
time
going to
said
try
that
to
it was
get it-
to be advertised.
we didn't get in the deadline for the
We didn't get it
Spirit.
into the
Is that,
deadline.
is what happened.
That's right, it wasn't. Mrs. Guy, if you'd like me to pass this forward, this is a copy, just the end of a right-to-know form, and it says, "A completed RTKL request form is a public document. For more information about the RTK, it's available," and it gives the openrecords.pa.gov form. So if anybody would like to see, this is the tail end of a right-to-know form.
I don't have any objection to having right-to-knows available, and certainly the information from the right-to-knows, are you saying available to council members or available?
I personally don't-
Satisfied, it used public dollars to do it.
Yeah,
did a
it
few
should
other
be
things
out
like
there.
that.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And Chief?
I have no report, I'm going to do it in the red.
Okay, all right, thank you. And I don't know if Mr. Wills spoke to you,
Yes.
but he changed one word, and so otherwise, you're satisfied?
You're okay.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay, so we do have the firehouse resolution. Would you?
Would you like me to read it? Parkside Borough Resolution Number 578, a resolution of Parkside Borough, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, administrative policy for funding of the Parkside Fire Company. Whereas the Borough Council of Parkside deems providing the Parkside Borough Volunteer Fire Company with operating funds. Whereas the Borough Code requires that volunteer fire departments submit an annual audit regarding the use of borough funds. And whereas the management of public taxpayer funds is important to the Borough of Parkside. And whereas the fire department has not submitted any annual reports or budgets to the Borough Council of Parkside. And whereas the Borough of Parkside believes that such audits and reports are essential for transparency and good government. Now therefore, the Borough Council of the Borough of Parkside hereby establishes the following administrative rules to approve the volunteer fire company organization's funding. 1, the volunteer fire company must at all times comply with the laws and regulations of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the United States of America. And 2, comply with all deadlines of the Internal Revenue Service, and on or before July 1st of each year, provide a copy of the respective entity's last filed IRS Form 990, return of organization exempt from income tax for the immediately preceding tax year to the Borough Council. And 3, provide the Parkside Borough Council an annual itemized listing of all expenditures of such allocations and apportionments for the immediately preceding year by February 15th of each following year. And 4, engage in the additional fundraising efforts in addition to receiving borough funds. And 5, have at least one representative present quarterly at Borough Council meetings during the calendar year. Resolved and adopted at a public meeting held on the 17th day of August 2022.
Madam President,
Yes?
although I agree with it, I do think we should table it. 'Cause
Why?
they were here with an impassioned response 1 month ago that they still needed to get their ducks in a row.
That wasn't what they said a month ago. A month ago, you just said that Mr. Wills hadn't okayed it, right?
No, he did it, and we've had correspondence with your solicitor, myself, our solicitor at the firehouse, our finance guy for the company, he has reviewed this as well. He's the one that actually made some wording changes that we needed to see in there to help us along, and those were relayed back to your solicitor through ours, and everything was A-okay between the sides. So as of right now, we're good on our end with it.
Thank you.
I mean, that's up to council.
Thank you.
guys to vote on.
I appreciate that.
Well, what
I
happens
still would
with,
like the motion to table.
I'll second that motion.
You always like to table motions, Doug, like, whatever, you just like to defer things.
Well, at least you didn't get poo-pooed like I did.
If I could just offer some clarifying comments about some questions from members of the public. And first of all, I want to thank members of the public for coming forward and asking your questions. I know it can be difficult, especially in this borough, to do that. So, and you do have a right to a response. So, this resolution has been presented at the council meeting. This is now the third month we presented it. We've discussed it with the council. Members of the Public Safety Committee, President Guy, our solicitor, met with the fire company and their solicitor to discuss this resolution. And really, the basics of this, the reason for the resolution is just to ensure accountability for public money. It's taxpayer money that's being given to the fire company for justified reasons. They definitely need to support. This community could not survive without the fire company. We want to make sure that the fire company is functioning and thriving. And so this resolution will provide for accountability for taxpayers. Because up to this point, we haven't had accountability for public money being spent, at least mandated. There have been some vague reports, but this is ensuring that public money is being spent for the right reasons. And we've worked together with the fire company to come up with this resolution. And I think it's, as the chief said, I think it's fair to everybody involved.
I just have a quick question for you, Mr. Constantine, if you don't mind. Excuse me, Pat. You just said in your, whatever you were saying there, that this borough doesn't have enough money to outsource fire service. How do you know that?
I never even mentioned
You
outsourcing.
just did.
No,
I
he did
didn't.
I
not.
didn't hear that.
No, he did not.
What do you say?
Nothing about outsourcing.
All I said was that the fire company needs this money and we should be
Because
giving
you
it to them.
can't go outside, so how do you
No,
know?
I
you
no,
don't
I
have
never.
enough money?
I didn't hear
never
that.
said
I didn't
No,
hear that.
I never said that.
Can we have playback?
I have a question, though. If the fire company does not engage in additional fundraising efforts, are we withholding their funds the next quarterly check?
I think it's a moot point because they are engaging in fundraising.
But what happens
so-
if they become short on volunteers to do fundraising? Is that being a stickler where they don't get the next quarterly check because we understand they're short in manpower?
We're not
Or somebody to do
unreasonable.
this?
We're not unreasonable, but other fire companies fundraise to offset the costs. So I think it's a
understand
reasonable
that, but
thing
you're not
that-
giving me a yes or a no. Will this stop the funds from flowing to the fire company if they're short on manpower to do any fundraising? Is that a yes or a no?
We'll cross that bridge when we
Maybe,
get to it.
no, maybe our solicitor should.
Maybe we don't-
Settle.
Because we talked about this
Settle.
meeting with those solicitors.
So,
We did talk about this. And I
Yes.
did ask these questions. I said.
The chief did ask this
our
exact
call
question.
And our fundraising, if they bring you $60,000 for the year, you guys aren't gonna cut that $60,000 out of the budget. And I said, if we're only able to bring in $600 for a year for fundraising, you guys aren't gonna hold that against us. And you guys all sat at that table and said no.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
I'd like, sir, I'd like to have that on the record, because with the economy and the inflation as it is, if people are not donating to the fire company, are you then not getting a check?
We did not say that, we said engage in fundraising
Then I would like to hear it from the
activities.
solicitor to be put on our record.
Okay.
Councilwoman Purcival, the resolution does not prohibit the council from providing the funding to the fire company in any situation. It just provides a administrative policy or guideline that the borough council can abide by and that the fire company abides by. And it's more of like a mutual understanding of what is an expectation on both sides.
So the
and
funds would not be held up.
as long as the borough council voted to approve the funds.
And Mr. Purcival, to this point, because we did discuss this at the meeting, and I had, offered as recreation chair to sort of be a facilitator of fundraising and events. And the chief had mentioned that you need to be a member, so I suggested becoming a, administrative member to help facilitate that. So I've asked a couple times about that, but maybe we could follow up on that.
This has been in the back of my mind for a while. I'm just gonna bring it up and say it, you guys can think what you want to do. Because again, at the end of the day, I'm a volunteer, and I don't really care, because you people are trashing this town. So, my thing is, what does all this matter? You guys want to take the money from us anyway. Certain people on that board want to take the money from us anyway, and put it on the rest of this town.
You're a
So
moderator?
what does it matter come next
This is
year?
this is out of order.
And you saw you, Mr. Sidlow, 95% of your time.
All right.
All right, settle. Please, if you can't, keep it down.
Listen, I just know, you guys vote for the resolution, if you are, let's get to it, I can get out of here, I can come on board, let's go. And if not, do what you gotta do, so I can get out of here.
There's an active motion on the table.
To table.
There's an active motion to table on the table that has been first and seconded. So that must be voted on.
Are there any questions
Yeah,
about
I
that?
also want to be on the record. For months, everybody knows that I've said I was against this resolution. I said it from the start.
That's not what you said to me.
I said it in the private meeting we had. Didn't I say that, Samantha? I was against the resolution from the start. I said that. I said it in the past council meetings. Go back and look at the meetings. I just think there's too much wordage in this resolution, and it's not fair to the fire company to have to do some of this stuff. And what is it our business about their fundraising? And I'm sorry, I just think it's too much. We already have a law in the books that states they have to report annually.
State Code 1202.
But they haven't been doing that. They haven't been doing that. I don't understand. We haven't been doing it. It's not like they're following the state code. They're not reporting. And this resolution is to request that the fire company manage the dollars that we give them appropriately. This board, the members of this board who are taking the side of the fire company over the side of the taxpayers are not handling borough funds appropriately. We are members of this council and we spend our money on things that we need for the community.
And we need to keep the fire company open.
We need to, so this does not close the fire company. This tells the fire company what they're responsible for doing if they want our
They can
money.
pay with me.
This, all this is to hold the fire company accountable for what Ms. Purcival made an agreement that they would do 2.5 years ago, and they have not lived up to their agreement. So I don't want to hear that you're taking the side of the fire company over the borough that you are a member of the council of.
I don't think
Did you ever put a pair of fire boots on?
Mr. Bull has
That's
asked
not
to speak.
relevant.
Mr. Bull has asked to speak.
No,
Correct? No,
just
you're just saying
remind
that,
you, it is, permission to speak is at the discretion of the president. You did not request the floor. We don't just need outburst after outburst. It is the president's prerogative to keep things moving along.
Okay, I've been scolded. Thank you very much.
okay, so the motion on the table is to table the firehouse resolution. Roll call vote.
Ms. Purcival?
Yes.
Mr. Costigan?
No.
Mr. Sidlow?
No.
Mr. Sweigart?
No.
Mr. Powers?
No.
Madam President?
Yes, no, sorry.
Mr. Bull?
I made the motion.
So he says yes.
Yes.
All right, so that was what, 5-2?
Yep.
All right, so we will vote on the resolution.
You'll need a first and second.
Yes, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to vote on Resolution 578.
Thank you. Second?
I second.
Thank you. Any questions? We've already asked them. Okay, great. Roll call.
Mr. Powers?
No.
Mr. Bulk?
No.
Madam President?
Yes.
Mr. Sweigart?
Yes.
Mr. Sidlow?
Yes.
Ms. Purcival?
Yeah.
Mr. Costigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3. Thank you very much. All right, onward. What's next on here? It's you, Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam President. The treasurer's report, all accounts are reconciled for July 31st, 2022. Notes below are for the month of July, $48,920.75 in deposits were received into the Sharon Bank and TD Bank general accounts. Vendor payments were issued in the amount of $97,314.09 with a payroll of $39,184.32. A second draw of RPA funds has not hit our bank account yet. A redistribution of the amount of $385 was received in the month of July. Note WSFS general funds and TD escrow accounts have not been reconciled because of their paper statements not available since the borough office was closed. Those accounts typically move annually, so that's not something that changes day to day. So they should be okay with the paper account and reconciling in August for us. So I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Wonderful.
Do you have the dates for the budget meeting? I'm sorry, not jumping.
They were going to be the 4th. I did want to thank everyone for attending the finance workshop. It was one of our first. I checked for emails for any questions and did not see any that came over via email, but it was there was a nice decorum. People were here, had decent questions, and it doesn't have to be 100% formal. It just needs to let people communicate, find out the state of where we are. But I appreciate everyone that attended it. On another note, it's not really finance. I got a message for someone that wanted to do a service project.
Okay.
Should I keep that till new business?
Well, just, when are the budget meetings?
Budget meetings are going to be the 4th Wednesday, September, October, and November. So I don't have the exact dates. There's going to be the 4th Wednesday, same time as when we used to have the council meetings. So I was doing most people's calendar.
Okay, and that starts at 7 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a week from today.
September?
Oh, September.
Yeah, don't rush. All right, thank you. Yeah, if you want to bring that up, go ahead. The service project?
Girl Scout named Paige Fedina is a resident of Parkside, and she's working on her Silver Award and would like to do a bike safety, I'm going to call it a rodeo. It's just, she's going to do training, she's going to do a few things like that, and I literally just got the email before I came in. But it sounds like a really nice project, but I think she's up on a little bit of a deadline, so I don't know if maybe we can include part of it on Community Day or something along those lines. So I didn't want to open the email in front of everyone, but there was a little bit of like training, an obstacle course, some safety and things like that. It sounded like a neat project.
Yeah, road safety is always good.
Yeah. So her name is Paige Fedina.
Yeah, so the chief actually, I guess it was last week, contacted me about that.
Oh, okay.
About Paige and her project. And I talked to Paige's mother, and I think it would be great to have that at Community Day. We've already, got that in the works for Community Day, have a table for her so she can demonstrate bike safety and things like that. So
Perfect.
already working on that.
Thank you for that, and with that, I'll report general progress for finance and general progress for the open space report.
Okay,
It's August.
thank you. Mr. Costigan?
Thank you, Madam President. So Junior Council, as the summer is winding down, I plan to meet with the 3 new Junior Council members before our next meeting so that they know what to expect and they're prepared. And then at our September meeting, they'll be sworn in and we'll hit the ground running from there. So moving on to recreation, we had another successful movie night. I want to thank everybody that helped out with that from the rec committee. And of course, Sarah and Chip Haynes for donating their equipment and time for the movie night. The rec committee is really making things happen in this town, and I'm really impressed and gratified to be a part of that group. So one of our new exciting events are Legos that are coming to Borough Hall. So we have one the first week of August. They're going to be coming back this Friday, the 19th, and then Friday the 26th, and that's from 10 to 12 in Borough Hall. So we have a partnership with Middletown Library where they're bringing Legos and the kids can play with those. It seemed like I couldn't make it, but it seemed like we had a good turnout. And by the way, if you haven't gotten a chance to see the new library, the Middletown Library, I would definitely recommend you check that out. It's right off of 352 on Old Middletown Road across from Wayside Market, and they just acquired that property and they're renovating it. It's really nice, and they're doing a lot of great things. So we're
Mr.
grateful for that.
Costigan, I apologize
Yeah.
for interrupting. Did you mention that the Legos event was in the Enquirer?
I did not even know it was in the Enquirer.
My
so
aunt
that's
told
news
me.
to me.
Yes, she said that there were pictures of the event in the Enquirer.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
I
yeah.
was already, the photographer was here covering it all, getting really detailed pictures. So I didn't see
Right,
it.
I never saw the article though.
So if someone could.
That's- Yeah. Good to see. We're continuing to plan for Community Day, September 17th. That's going to be from 12 to 4. So we're going to have a special meeting for Community Day next Wednesday. That's August 24th. That'll be at 6:30 in the Borough Hall. So if you're interested in helping out with Community Day or have any ideas, feel free to attend, or if you can't make it, feel free to reach out to me as well. Okay, I think that's all for the.
Are you moving on to police now?
Yes. Oh, and then, of course, we have our regular meetings on the first Wednesday of the month.
Before you begin, I would like to address something
Sure.
for police public safety. Todd Bennett commented on a Facebook post of Ms. Purcival's a few days ago that we had 37 unfilled police shifts for the month. I am concerned that Ms. Purcival allowed such a flagrant lie to remain on her page, which is public, which means it can be seen by anybody. It's bad enough what is said in the private group that you frequent, but the audience there is only 400 people. Fortunately, Brookhaven Council President Heller set the record straight in a comment, and I am very grateful. But you did not say anything to clarify that the shifts were in fact covered. I remember that when it was brought up in a meeting several months ago that Brookhaven had covered our calls a few times, there was a huge uproar that putting out such information puts the safety of our residents at risk. How is that different from you allowing Mr. Bennett to comment that we had 37 unfilled shifts on your public post without setting the record straight? That every shift was covered by Brookhaven police who patrolled our streets because we made an arrangement with them. I believe you were at the meeting when we agreed on this. I find it very concerning that you allowed him to indicate that our borough was not being patrolled. I am also curious how Mr. Bennett learned that we had 37 shifts this month that we arranged for Brookhaven to cover. He is not a member of council or even a resident, and this seems like an odd topic for gossip. I thought we all understood and agreed that this should not be used as a political weapon. Who exactly is telling Todd about our police coverage? This is a safety issue, not a game. Despite your years of service, Ms. Purcival, I wonder if you really want what is best for Parkside, and I wonder what you won't stoop to wrest back power. And it's obvious that his lies had an impression on the residents because people were under the impression that our shifts were uncovered. Chief, I'd be grateful if
Excuse me, before you bring the chief in, since you're accusing me, that was not on my page. Mr. Bennett did not put that on my page. It was on a Parkside Borough 19015.
Oh, no, it's also on your post.
I'm sorry, I answered Mr. Hiller, if you'd like to call him personally. My post, it was not on my private page. It was not on my Councilwoman page. I suggest you look again. You wrote an email telling everybody how you were disgusted with the political issue. You didn't say anything about the residents being in danger.
But Ms. Purcival, the
And
residents are not in danger.
I answered Mr. Hiller and several people telling them that we have patrol. I did not give, as everybody here has already replied, nobody gave Mr. Bennett that information. Mr. Bennett called me.
Would you like to see the comment on your post? I can show it
I
to
did
you.
not make the post.
No. You
was
made a
not-
post. Your post was, "Good afternoon, I hope everyone is enjoying this beautiful
Yes.
weather, blah, 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 blah."
Yes, it was
and then
under
he
a
commented
It was
on
under
your post.
Councilwoman Shirley Purcival.
Yes, and then he posted.
I did not
commented-
see that he
Oh,
posted
I don't
under
believe
me.
that, but
Well, you
okay.
didn't believe half the things I've asked
Madam
you, so
President,
I'm just
if
going
I
to start
may-
taking photographs of everything.
Good.
Can we,
All right,
move
so
forward
just a
in a
moment, I
productive-
would like to, Chief, would you please address whether our shifts have gone unfilled, uncovered?
What is this on?
Sometime in March of this year,
This was on, why
we
you
have
have
lost
comment
a
with
number of
correspondence?
It became increasingly more difficult to fill our shifts. We've been trying to hire additional part-time officers to no avail. We continue to this day, continue to try to hire part-time officers to fill in the gaps. Obviously, council stepped up back in June and added an additional full-time officer to take some of the strain off. Still, there's hours that are not covered. It has gotten progressively worse through the year. This month, we had two of our remaining part-timers. One was sick with COVID, unavailable, and the other, in his full-time job, had a bicycle accident and has been out for the last 3 weeks. So as a result of that, the number of shifts that have gone unfilled by Parkside police officers has increased. In response to that, council has met several times with Brookhaven Council, and after the second meeting, they came to terms with what Brookhaven would do to help us while we struggle through this situation. And council approved a contract between the Borough of Parkside and the Borough of Brookhaven to provide police coverage for those shifts that we don't have police officers available to cover. So every one of the shifts that is not covered by a Parkside officer is indeed covered by a Brookhaven police officer, and that includes patrol of the borough.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And
Mrs. I'm sorry.
And also, as far as the police, this is a countrywide problem, correct? This is not part-timers are just hard for Parkside to find.
Absolutely. Throughout Delaware County, the chiefs that I talked to, everybody is struggling to hire part-time police officers. They can't get them. I have gone to the police academy twice to try to solicit employees to come and work here in Parkside. Have had zero success so far. I am happy to report that we are working on 2 potential part-timers right now. We're doing background checks to keep our fingers crossed that they pass muster. If they do, maybe by this time next month, we'll be able to swear in a couple of part-time officers that will
help ease the burden. It's not going to fix the problem, but it will help ease the burden a little bit.
And we also had
As to your
vacations,
point,
right?
Nationwide, policing is struggling to fill even full-time police positions. Many of the large departments are down substantially from where they should be. And it's a product of the times, and we're struggling through it. Obviously, those coming out of the academy are in the driver's seat right now because there's such a demand, and they can pick and choose where they want to go. So we'll continue to try to bring people on. The council continues to discuss, other alternatives and how to fund those alternatives. So we'll keep going.
And Chief, I just have a quick question. Was that number 37 shifts, was that an accurate number?
I don't have the number off the top of my head. I don't think it was 37. I think it was 31 or 32. But
And can you also go into a little bit for the public to know, we start at the beginning of the month with, say, 32 shifts, but can you go into the process for where we end up by the end of the month?
What we do, when we put a schedule together, and Officer McEwen is here, he's the one that puts the schedule together. He reaches out to all part-time officers and asks them their availability. He then puts the schedule together based on their availability. Okay, so we have 2 full-time officers. They rotate between 6 to 2, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. They rotate. One week they're on day work, the next week they're on the 2 to 10, and vice versa. Okay, so the balance of the shifts, all the weekend shifts and the overnight shift from 10 at night until 6 in the morning are covered by part-time officers. So he gets their availability, we plug it in on the calendar, we post the calendar. In the past, everything was filled. Now we have holes in the calendar. And what he will do is on a weekly basis, he will reach out to everybody and say, has anything changed? Can you pick up a few shifts? And invariably, we get a couple of shifts covered every time he reaches out. Officer Cleary is the one I was telling you about. He fell and injured his ribs. He is now been cleared, and he will be back on the schedule next week. So some of those 30-some, whatever it is, 31, 32, 37, whatever the number is, some of those shifts next week will be covered because Officer Cleary will be available to take some of those shifts. So yes, we continue to try to fill those throughout the month.
Thank you.
Mrs. Guy, let me interrupt. In case anybody in the public had not seen it, I actually have a screenshot of the post. I did not know this was an offset of one of my public pages. But I will say that I have not again received a reply from you in response to your, and I'm quoting your email, above situation is putting our borough at risk for politically reasons, and I am disgusted. I have asked that all of council be given a total number of shifts per hour that the Brookhaven Police will be covering for us, because most of council here do not know how many shifts are being covered, nor do I.
Well, it seems like that's the appropriate thing to happen at a council meeting.
I think all of council should know the information, not just several.
At a council meeting, when we have a time to converse about it.
And it doesn't take 2 minutes to send an email to all of council saying for the month of September, this is what we have open?
The chief knows that information, the mayor knows that information.
Maybe head of public safety could do that.
I don't have that information.
Well, there's the chief.
If that's something the council wants me to do, I can do that, but I'm not privy to that information is what I'm saying. I don't know the number, that's why I asked the chief, because I don't know, and I don't know how somebody in the public has that.
Someone who's not even a resident of this community, what does Ty Bennett know?
And so are you calling that for that post to be taken down? Because it's spreading lies that are...
I asked for it to stop. If you've read any of my answers to Mr. Hiller, a gentleman from Parkside, a gentleman from Brookhaven, I said stop.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I did not know that was on
I'm
mine.
blocked from the group.
I will check when I go home, and if I can delete it, I will delete it. I did not know it was on mine.
I mean, because that post really
I don't go on Facebook every day taking screenshots.
It's completely mischaracterizing and misrepresenting the situation that we have. So as the chief mentioned, there's a nationwide challenge finding part-time police officers. We are a small borough, we rely primarily on part-time police. That's why we've discussed this for, I can't tell you how many months now. That's why we hired the full-time officer, the second full-time officer, to help address that, but we knew it wasn't going to solve everything. And then as more part-time officers leave, and mind you, these part-time officers are full-time employees working for the county or another department or part-time in another department, so they're overburdened as it is. And so it just has continued to get worse. So we, as a council, met with the Borough of Brookhaven. We had a relationship with Brookhaven from covering our unfilled shifts but not patrolling them when we needed them. And met with the council. The whole council was at the meeting with Brookhaven's entire council.
The third meeting.
Yes, but there were, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let me clarify that. There were meetings with the Public Safety Committee. The Public Safety Committee was invited to attend. The mayor was there, the council president was there, the solicitors weren't there at those meetings. But council was kept informed of this, and members of the council were at these meetings. And
we had executive sessions too.
Yes. And this agreement is not a long-term solution. This is a temporary Band-Aid until the end of the year, until we can figure out what we're going to do long-term. And personally, I feel that, somebody mentioned it at the beginning, but the public should definitely have a say in what goes on with our public safety long-term. I think we should be transparent and open, and people should have their input in what happens, because frankly, I don't know what we should do, and we need input. And so this agreement is just a temporary solution, an agreement with Brookhaven to ensure that all of our shifts are covered and being patrolled. So the Borough of Brookhaven Police Department is going to patrol Parkside Borough, any unfilled shifts we have. So the number of uncovered shifts in Parkside Borough is 0. There are no uncovered shifts. Every shift is being covered. That's what this council has worked tirelessly to do. And like I said, we'll move forward for a long-term solution and see where it goes. But, you know, I think that we have all worked together to come to this agreement. And frankly, I'm proud that we have been able to do this so quickly, because it's happened so fast and we've been able to adapt and adjust to it. And I just want to make sure we're moving forward in a productive way. So I think that's all I have to say about the agreement. So I'll make a motion to approve the police agreement with Brookhaven.
Second.
Thank you. Do we need to have a roll call vote? All in favor?
Questions on the motion?
Questions on the motion? Go ahead.
I'd like to know, we only received one price, and I understand the solicitor said we did not have to put this out for bid.
And you set the price.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You were the one who
that
suggested the
question.
price. Suggested that price.
Yes, that's correct. I suggested the price of $62.50, I believe it was, at the meeting that I attended. If this goes on further, and this is only until December 31st, will we reach out to other municipalities, because we have not yet done that?
I don't know what we're going to do. Right now, we're looking into seeing what it would cost the borough to bring on a couple more full-timers.
Ms. Purcival, you can't laugh about this. This is a serious issue. We need to be serious about this and have honest conversations.
I'm sorry. You're looking at bringing on more full-timers without the cost factor that could be $100,000 per person.
No,
So
actually,
this is
we're
why-
looking into
So
it.
you're looking into it. When is the rest of us going to know you're looking into it?
Right now.
Oh, right now.
You just learned it. We're in a meeting to have a
Okay.
conversation about these things.
That's why there's no
say something?
transparency.
This is my
Okay, thank you,
report.
Ms.
It's your
Costigan.
report. Go ahead.
So-
That was my question.
I requested from the treasurer numbers on police expenses. I got the email today, a few hours ago, and I did not open it or read it. I did that. Mrs. Guy did not do that.
It would be nice to be CC'd on stuff like that.
Thank you.
We have committees.
I will share the information, but I don't,
He just got it.
I can do that. I
He
can
just
certainly
got
do
it.
that. But I will share that information with all of council as soon as I go home and open the email. But we really do need to be serious about this because we
I am
cannot continue
serious.
on
I am
as
serious.
is.
Believe me.
And part-time officers are not falling off of trees.
Nor are the tax dollars.
I agree. So that's why we need to be serious, sober, and have honest conversations as a council, as a community about what we're going to do. Because there's no easy solution here. There's not.
None whatsoever.
And if we're going to be laughing at this in meetings, then I don't know where we're going to go because I don't know. We have to be together on this as a community, not just even the council.
It would have been nice if we had all known we were looking at prices.
You're learning that now. Like,
Yes,
I understand.
and we
We're
did
in a- this is-
absolutely.
This is why we have meetings, is to talk about what
And that's
we're
why
doing.
I've suggested we have caucus meetings or workshops.
And Mrs.
So that we're
Purcival-
all out there together talking about what each committee is doing in the next
Ms.
meeting.
Percival, we did also discuss what we were going to do as far as looking at long-term solutions. We did discuss that in the meeting that we had at Brookhaven Borough.
Yes, we did. And the chief has brought up potential solutions at that meeting and all the meetings we've had.
So
So
much
I think we
covers
have a
me.
motion on the table.
We do have a motion. Any other questions? Go ahead and roll call vote it.
But we don't get to see this, what you're voting on and is costing us. Sorry to be out of line, but this is our money, our taxpayers' dollars, and we don't even get to see what you're voting on.
This was not on the website.
Excuse me,
Um,
there's a car alarm going off.
I know, somebody's car's beeping. It's not mine. Mine's at home.
I walked.
You guys
Yeah.
don't give a shit. What we're paying for, we don't get to see for you guys to vote.
was
Would you read-
And also,
Would you
can I
read the
just
motion,
say,
please?
if this agreement is not passed,
Sunshine Act gives us 24 hours, we have not.
This is not, I have to clarify. This is not a resolution or an ordinance. This is an agreement that we have made with another borough. As she said, it's $62.50 per hour that we're paying to Brookhaven to cover for us, which is not too far off from what we pay our own officers to cover us at this time.
and also,
We still don't get to
if-
see it. It's Sunshine Act.
if
We don't get to
this-
see it.
Again, thank you. I appreciate
if
your
this agreement
comments.
is not passed, the Borough of Brookhaven will turn us away. They have told us that. When they needed some kind of compensation to tell their taxpayers that, because up until now, they've been generous enough to cover us without financial agreement. So they have to tell their taxpayers that their resources are being used appropriately as well. And if they're covering us on their taxpayers' dollars, that's not fair to them. So the council president and the council of Brookhaven has said, if we do not have this agreement, they will not cover us. So then I don't know what we're going to do, because then we're going to have unfilled shifts. We're going to have to go to somewhere else. And the chief has a good relationship with Brookhaven. He feels that Brookhaven is the best police department in the area for this situation. So that's why we went with Brookhaven. And the bottom line is we have to pass this agreement to make sure that our town is safe for the rest of the year. And then we also, as a community, have to move forward and come up with a solution long-term.
Could I just make one comment that the agreement can be terminated by Parkside, I believe, at any time. So should Parkside come up with a solution or wish to go with another option, Parkside, the Borough Council does maintain that option. The Borough of Brookhaven, however,
Is locked in.
is pretty tightly locked in. So without us breaching the agreement in some way, Parkside will be covered. However, should Parkside and the Borough Council determine that they no longer wish to participate in the agreement, there is a way that the council can terminate and go with another option. So it is not a forever lock-in.
Thank you.
And if we only request 3 shifts, we only request 3 shifts.
Right.
We're not going to fill 15 shifts if there's only 3 shifts.
It's, honestly, they're working with us very, very well, correct, Chief? I mean, I believe that it couldn't have gone any better than we could have hoped, right?
I wasn't sure what, I didn't hear those comments.
I said I second the motion.
Yes, it is working well.
Yes, thank you.
We are in constant communication with them. If we are able to cover a shift on our own, we reach out to them, they say thank you, and...
We don't have to pay for it. That's right. Thank you. Honestly, it's the best situation for us. We really couldn't have hoped for better. And it is a short-term solution for right now. Are there any other questions? Okay, go ahead, roll call.
Mr. Sweigart.
Yes.
Mr. Bull.
Yes.
Mr. Power.
Yes.
Madam President.
Yes.
Mr. Sidlow.
Yes.
Ms. Purcival.
No.
Mr. Costigan.
Yes.
Passed.
Thank you very much, appreciate that. And moving on.
Can I just say,
go
well, I
ahead.
have one more thing about,
I have to add something to your section too, because we need to make a motion. So we need to add a motion to add, what is res short for?
Resolution.
Resolution appointing Borough Council President as Chief Admin Officer as required by law.
To the police pension fund, plan. Timika, could you give a quick rundown of the information you received yesterday? And
Yes,
to me?
the police pension fund, we are coming up on an audit. And to have our paperwork proper, it is the CAO, the person who is the head of it is usually the council president. We recently changed council president, and now we must assign the new president so that we can have our audit completed and have the proper person named as the CFO.
And I did do some research. The audit is just a general run-of-the-mill audit that's done on a relatively frequent basis. It's nothing that the council did, it's nothing the police did, it's completely run-of-the-mill. But we do need to get this resolution passed, and I apologize that it was just brought to our attention late yesterday. I did make several attempts to reach out to the gentleman that alerted us to the need for the resolution, but I have not received a call back yet. So with some research, I put together a motion that will need to be voted on tonight in order to complete the audit.
So I'll entertain a motion.
so what exactly?
I have to read this.
Oh, go ahead, read it.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda. To
Yes,
include
thank you.
To include the resolution for the new CFO.
CAO, Admin Officer. Second? Thank you. All in favor of adding to the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's added to the agenda. Thank you. Would you please read it?
So, a resolution of Parkside Borough, County of Delaware, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, designated the Chief Administrative Officer of the Parkside Borough Police Pension Plan Fund. Whereas the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard and Recovery Act of December 18th, 1984, Public Law 1005, number 205, as amended by 50 PS 589.5.101, Act 205, governs the administration of pension plans established by the political subdivisions of the Commonwealth. And whereas Act 205 requires that the governing body of each municipality designate a chief administrative officer to serve as the person who has primary responsibility for the execution of the administrative affairs of the pension plan. And whereas the Borough Council of the Borough of Parkside desires to designate the chief administrative officer of the Parkside Borough Police Pension Plan. And now therefore, the Borough Council of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, that the council president of the Borough of Parkside is hereby designated as the chief administrative officer of the Parkside Borough Police Pension Plan. The borough president shall have all the duties and all the responsibilities of the chief administrative officer as set forth in Act 205, resolved and adopted at its public meeting held on the 17th day of August of 2022.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. All in favor? Any questions first? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you very much. And
I also just wanted to clarify something that was brought up in, I believe, the public the call to citizens about crime rising. And I just want to clarify with you, Chief, that the crime in Parkside is actually down. Is that true?
The crime is down.
Yeah. So.
Not by 50 or 60%, but it's down.
Right. So just for the record, for everybody to have the same understanding, because of the chief and Officer McEwen and all of our officers working
And the
under
residents.
difficult, circumstances, and our residents, we're doing a great job, all things considered. So.
Yep, good.
President, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Please lock your car doors. Crime even further.
We'd have like almost no crime.
Okay, we've had numerous thefts from vehicles over the course of the last couple of months. Not a lot, but, you know, they're happening. The simple thing of locking your car when you get out of it will prevent most crimes from happening. So, thank you.
And plus you can make a fun beep noise, you know, I mean.
And we just had one.
Yep.
And then, Madam President, I also have a statement that I'd like to read. I don't know if you want me to do that now, or at the new business, or
Oh,
and call
big
the
sigh.
citizens.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is just some things that I've wanted to get off my chest for a while. So since taking office, I've always done what I believe to be right, and I've done my best to serve the people of Parkside with fidelity, as I swore to when I took my oath back in January. The core belief that guides me, as many residents know, is civility. As I've said many times before, I believe that all people should be treated with dignity and respect, even those who happen to be my political adversaries. As such, I've worked closely with all three of my Republican colleagues on a variety of issues over the past 8 months. In fact, at the risk of ruining both of our reputations, Mrs. Purcival and I have actually become friends.
And neighbors.
I was hoping a bigger laugh for that, but okay.
Sorry.
But I feel that too many unfounded attacks on me and my character have gone on for far too long. To state the obvious, I'm the youngest council member by a few years, and in Facebook posts by the Parkside GOP, my friends from the Republican Party have tried to use my youth against me. They've called me a puppet, labeled fellow council members as my handlers, and accused me of throwing a tantrum. Now, I have a thick skin, and I actually laugh off these ridiculous claims rather easily. But what I don't laugh off are the assaults on my character. That I, quote, would not vote for what was best for Parkside, but for what I believe was best for my party. That I, quote, hoodwinked the public. That I, quote, never cared about your tax law. That I'm untrustworthy. The Parkside GOP even tried to get me trending on Facebook through the use of the hashtag, Michael Costigan is a liar. And mind you, these lies are all from anonymous posts by a political party. I know they don't speak for all Republicans in this town, and I hope they don't speak for the Republicans on this council. But perhaps the worst of all, one post suggested that I am, quote, playing political games and pretending to care for the residents when all along blind hate guides me to do this in the first place. Let me repeat that. Playing political games and pretending to care for the residents when all along blind hate guides me to do this in the first place. Let me be crystal clear, that is a lie. What guides me to do this is you, the residents. Since taking office, I've tried to guide this community towards a place of civility and respect, instead of mudslinging and division. Some people might be intimidated by these assaults on their reputation, but not me. I will continue speaking out for what is best for this borough, and I will continue to work with my Republican colleagues. Know that in everything that I do, I act with your best interest in mind. If you have a question about my beliefs or how I vote, please ask. I will always respond to you, and I will always be respectful and courteous. But please, take the time to get to know me and learn about my thinking. And this goes for all of my colleagues up here as well. In just a few months, I've gained a greater level of respect for each of them, precisely because I've gotten to know them better, and I'm sure you will too. I also promise to always speak the truth. Elvis Presley once said, truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a while, but it ain't going away. Unfortunately, though, the attacks and insults do not stop at the Parkside GOP page, but include residents and former residents as well. I hesitate to even read these aloud, but I do so just to give our residents some insight into the lack of civility in our politics. One wrote, quote, I wanted personally to tell you how much I despise how you voted last night. You've truly proven to be a liar. Even worse, I received a message from a former resident, someone whom I respected and had meaningful conversations with. This one truly hurt on a personal level. Quote, you are so unqualified for being a teacher. Apparently, you were never taught decency at home nor in college. Now I'm afraid for them. Huge disappointment. I'm sure your parents are proud, knowing what they created. I thought you had decency. Apparently I was wrong. Now, I don't read these words to gain any sympathy from anyone here tonight. I read them only to reveal what I've faced these past 8 months. This job is not easy under normal circumstances, and it shouldn't be. We should all be held to account and held responsible for our words and actions. But it is nearly impossible to do this job well when lies are being spewed about you and defamatory words are being sent to you privately. I think we need to have open, honest conversations with one another. Not arguments, not screaming matches, not one-sided diatribes on social media, and not posting lies from an anonymous page. We can have different perspectives, and in fact we should. We live in a great country that allows us to debate and challenge the ideas of one another. You may not always agree with my votes or my ideas, but it's my sincere hope that you view me as an honest broker who is trying to do what is best for this borough. And in reality, I don't always vote with my party, and I certainly don't agree with them on every issue. Just ask them, they'll tell you. We should be better than this. We are better than this. Parkside is a truly wonderful town, and I deeply worry about our future. We need to start listening to one another, learning from one another, and we need to come together to work with one another as one community for the best interest of all of our residents. And finally, let's start showing some respect to one another. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, so our next topic is Ordinance Report. Mr. Sidlow, before you begin, I have something that I wanted to say. At the last meeting, Ms. Purcival spent time defending why Parkside has to charge so much more for inspections and ordinance enforcement than other boroughs around us. She said that we are a small town which needs to charge more because we don't have business to support us. Inspections and code enforcement are not supposed to be a source of revenue. They are a service we provide for our residents to ensure that properties are maintained and don't pose a safety risk. These inspections are required when a home is sold and when a resident has work done on their house. Council voted to raise the pay for the inspectors and create the part-time job of code enforcement officer, which is provided with a full-time car. If you don't think it's ludicrous that our tiny borough provides a car for a part-time position, you haven't talked to many people who know how other boroughs function. I doubt Ms. Purcival included the cost of the car, insurance, gas, inspection, and repairs in her numbers because I have asked the treasurer for that cost, but they can't provide it because it is lumped in with the police vehicles. So council voted to raise the fees, the revenue, and raise the expenses at the same time, and the net revenue or profit to the borough stayed the same. We have some of the best paid inspectors in the county, and the residents can't shop around. If they want to sell their house or get a permit, they have to pay. Ms. Purcival also told us how much other companies would charge if we contracted with them. I asked Ms. Purcival for her notes, and she emailed me, I quote, "I have had a horrendous last week, and Wednesday evening after council, I spilled a soda inside my council bag which contained all my notes. They have been destroyed."
That's not true.
I have an email from you. When I made reference, I can send the email to
Why are
anyone.
we reading this here?
I have
Thank
no
you.
idea.
You know what? She read for 10 minutes
no
last
idea.
I
time.
don't care that it's red.
You know what?
You wouldn't
Enough.
slam the hammer at me.
When I made reference to that in a
We're out
social
of order.
media post, she posted on her council
You shouldn't be
member
reading
Facebook
this.
profile.
Our secretary should be reading this as correspondence. You're out of order. I
This
call
is
for
not
a point of order.
correspondence.
I'm calling for a point of order.
Okay. When I made reference to that in a
That didn't
social
stop
We
media
have a
post.
solicitor here. I'm calling for a point of order.
What do we need? Now what?
I don't care if it's red. It just needs to be read at the proper time.
So when am I supposed to read it? Should I read it
Under
at the end of the
President's
meeting?
report, under correspondence. Not now. We're supposed to be in license inspections right now.
We'll get on to it. If you give me a minute
No,
and don't
you're out of
interrupt
order.
me. Well, what do I need to do? What's that?
You're out of order, period.
To what new business? Fine, I'll read it in new business.
Thank you.
Want me to read
I
the whole
hope I
thing
get a
again?
moment to respond when you
Oh,
do.
please, I am hoping.
This is ridiculous.
All right, go ahead, Scott.
Don't you love the
Ms.
respect?
Percival.
You're the one who
Are you
creates,
out of
you're the
I'm
most
out of
divisive
order.
person I
I'm out
have
of
ever
order.
met.
Thank
So
you, Mr. Sidlow.
don't-
Thank you.
All right,
I'm
thank
out
you.
of order.
Mr. Sidlow,
you,
please
you can
proceed.
whine about divisiveness as you create division all
Oh,
over this society.
please.
All over
All
this
right, guys, if you can't keep it down, you don't have to be here.
Come on,
okay?
no respect.
You bang it for her. her, but not for him.
I am going to equal opportunity.
This is a circus.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Would you like to stay for the meeting? Thank you. Okay.
Now you're going to be escorted out.
It's happened. Better people have been escorted out. Thank you. Go ahead,
Damn.
Mr. Sidlow.
Okay. So, I had asked a couple of things to get put on the ordinance, under ordinance report. It never made the agenda. So the first issue is the stormwater ordinance, which the county is asking all municipalities to pass by the end of September, which therefore we need to advertise it in the August meeting so that it will be eligible for voting in the September meeting.
So you'd like to make a
So
motion?
I'd like to make a
add that?
motion to add to the agenda that we advertise the stormwater ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of adding that to the agenda?
Aye.
Questions on the motion?
Oh, questions on adding it to the agenda?
I'm sorry.
That was what we're voting on.
Yes,
adding
I
it to the agenda.
apologize. I
Okay,
apologize.
so
I have
do
a question
you,
on the
yes
motion.
or no to adding it to the agenda?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, I believe that passed. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's a stormwater ordinance to add to the agenda. I sent out a copy for everyone to review. It's a 70-page document. We don't have a, did we print one copy at least for?
Yes.
You have
I
one?
have at my
At your
file
desk.
cabinet. I can get
At your
it.
desk. Does anybody have any questions about the stormwater, or about at least advertising the stormwater ordinance, or about the stormwater ordinance in general?
I have a question on the advertisement that I've asked twice now. How much does the Spirit charge to advertise?
I couldn't get that information. I'm waiting for our solicitor to provide me with the exact information to advertise. Then I will be able to get an estimated cost for the advertising.
Super, thank you.
Okay.
So I think we're voting on our motion to, so we
have
added,
a
no,
motion.
motion to, so the, making a motion to advertise the stormwater ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Let's see.
Okay, so then the next thing is, at the last meeting, we voted to advertise two ordinances, which I don't believe were advertised. The first was updating the borough codes to reflect the 2018 cycle of ordinances that the state is following, and the second was to update the zoning code to also reflect those ordinances. So that was not advertised, as I understand.
But we did vote to advertise.
We did
correct?
vote to advertise.
So
So we're
we'll
not,
get them advertised.
so those will be voted on next month, will be advertised this month. Now, I'm going to wait for engineering on the escrow, on the escrow issue. So I guess that's the end of that report.
You need a motion to advertise the special hearing on the zoning.
Oh, yeah.
Would you explain that?
So with the updates to the borough code, there needed to be updates to the zoning code just to make sure that both the borough code and the zoning code work together. It gets very tricky when the zoning code and the borough code say very opposite things. So under the Pennsylvania state law, in order for there to be any zoning code changes, no matter how minor they are, there needs to be an advertised special hearing. And the special hearing has to be advertised twice, and it's a little tricky on getting those advertisements done properly in the right amount of time. The state has very strict timelines for turning those around. I believe one has to be advertised no more than 60 days out, and then one has to be advertised again no more than 7 days before the special hearing. The special hearing does not have to be long, it does not have to be extensive, it just has to be held and there has to be public comment. Generally, what I've seen in other boroughs is they tend to set the special hearing 10 to 15 minutes before their normal council meeting time so they can open the floor, do the special hearing, close it, and then it's ready for vote at the next council meeting. And my recommendation would be to follow that as well, unless you all want to come together for a very brief meeting again on another night. But my general recommendation would be to just hold it before the next council meeting. So we will need a vote to advertise that special hearing so we can adopt the zoning code properly.
Okay, but first we need to make a motion to add it to
Yes,
the
but
agenda.
first you need a motion to add it to the agenda.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to add that to the agenda?
So I move we add to the agenda advertising a special hearing for zoning.
Are you going to second for me? You always do. Are there any questions about adding it to the agenda? Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent, moving on.
So I'd like to make a motion that we advertise and hold a special meeting at 6:45 at the next scheduled date of the council meeting.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay.
Put the date out there.
What's the dates? When the next council meeting is? Should be seared in your brain.
September 21st.
September 21. Okay, at 6:45. So we have a motion. I got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Okay. And licenses and inspections report, there were 10 building permits, 4 plumbing permits, no electrical permits, and 2 use and occupancies, and no re-inspections.
Thank you. And code enforcement?
We've had one grass issue with West Wallen. We've had breakers come down at 59 East Shelton Road. That's that vacant house there on the corner of Blossom and East Shelton. Breakers came down, they had a company come out and chop the branches up and do off the sidewalk. I think it's to the Borough. That's our ADU service of that. And then we had a property that had to be brought up to code for sale on Edgemont Avenue. And owner got very wild with me, cursing me out and saying all kinds of names and kind of a death threat. And it's well documented. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Powers, Public Works.
Thank you, Madam President. Is it okay that I roll all 3 reports into one?
By all means.
All borough properties have been properly maintained under health. Have not had any more complaints with any rodent issues at all. Under fire marshal, we have 1 investigation. I was assisted by FM 26 out of Upland. As far as that is still under investigation. Emergency management, I've had 1 emergency that involved the Verizon pole. A truck struck on Edgemont Avenue. That call came in at 3:30 in the afternoon, and we did not clear Edgemont Avenue till 11:30. So I was on that call from 3:30 in the afternoon to 11:30 at night. So that is all taken care of. That's all I have.
Thank you. Let's see, Ms. Purcival, Recycling MS4.
Thank you. I'll start out with the trash totals, 132.51 for regular trash. And we had 11.72 recycling for the month of July, which was down. I've given council a handout, which I did a little research on the history of building, plumbing, electrical, and occupancy permits. Just as a general FYI, it lists, and I have copies at the podium for the public. It lists the ordinance number, the date enacted, and the fee associated with that specific ordinance. And if everybody would notice that the permit fees have not been increased since December 21st, 2016, which I believe is 6 or 7 years. And that's all I have this evening on that.
And Mr. Sweigart, Communications?
Next newsletter will be coming out in September. Communications Committee will meet next Tuesday, 6:30. This is the time that we've been meeting at. When you go out for Community Day, just take some pictures, submit some pictures so we have stuff for our October newsletter. Other than that, I can just report general progress.
Thank you very much. What do we have left here? Let's see, do we have a report from the tax collector?
I read it during communications.
What's that?
I read it during communications.
Oh, yeah, she did. All right, thank you. Yeah, I remember that. And Mr. Rodo, what is your report today?
Thank you, Madam President. 2022 road program. For the beacons on Edgemont Avenue, design plans are 85% complete, working with PennDOT on finalizing the plan, while also taking inventory of items to be donated to the borough. And then this will go out for proposals when we have approval from PennDOT. For paving, AF Damon, as we know, has been awarded the project in the amount of $53,079. Their tentative start date is October 7th. Edgemont Avenue sinkholes survey is scheduled for this week, followed by starting the design process and PennDOT coordination. And that concludes my report.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's excellent progress on everything.
Okay, so can you explain more what the design process is for what's involved in what? Can you describe more what scope of work you have to do
for the sinkholes?
For the sinkholes, yeah.
Well, we have to do design work to replace the pipe and determine exactly the length of pipe to replace, and also highway occupancy permit, which can be a fairly lengthy process at sometimes, but we'll try to streamline that as much as possible since it's pretty much a direct replacement, but there will be traffic concerns, and as Chief recommended last month, and I believe a couple others, that we try to do it at night as much as possible, and but the highway occupancy permit, and that's the majority of the uncertainty in the time aspect of it, but we're just getting the survey back probably next week and then start the design process of what we're replacing, making sure we're at the correct elevations, and if it's not a direct replacement, maybe there's another option, seeing which one's cheaper, but at this point we're replacing the defective pipe that's causing the sinkholes, and that's about it.
Okay. And do you have a time? Do you have a timeline on when you think we'll be able to, I don't know, go to bid or have a complete project?
Probably a couple of months once we get we're able to perform the design and then work back and forth. PennDOT has 30 days to review the permit. If they always have comments, so they come back, we satisfy those comments, and then they have another 30 days, and that's where some of the time really gets adds up.
Well, I think we'd be looking at doing it during the summer when the school's not in session, if that's possible, for the Edgemont Avenue.
Didn't we discuss also PennDOT wanted us to do that before they pave? And when were they going to pave? Next year sometime?
Are they going to pave? I don't know. I know that they didn't want to fill in our potholes if we didn't have some sort of a plan, and I think once we have a plan, then we can ask them to put the metal plates down.
But I think the Secretary said they were repaving from Chester up through.
Yes, that is correct, and we've been in contact with PennDOT coordinating that, and making sure they're not going to pay before we do that part of the project.
And what's the time frame for the beacon?
The beacons, that shouldn't be too much longer. We're trying to get that resolved. I know we're right around the corner from school
starts soon, yeah.
But we did submit it to PennDOT. I was in discussions with them. We made some changes, and we're going to finalize that, and then we have to get proposals for the remaining equipment and installation. So, unfortunately, none of this is a quick process at times, but we're trying to get it finished as quickly as possible.
Nothing's quick.
Nothing is quick.
I know.
Okay.
But we try.
Now, I have another related issue, but it's not necessarily engineering. So, Tim Hall is here tonight from the Greentree Homeowners Association, and Greentree is undergoing a stormwater project for some sinkholes that they have. Tim will explain more at probably a public comment.
Or if you can do it now
Or
if you want. No,
yeah.
Okay, wait for public comment.
Okay. So, so they submitted an escrow agreement to pay for engineering fees, and you've completed the engineering work based on the email you sent to me.
We performed our first review. There were some issues with some of the data, and I sent Timika a review letter today stating that, and the engineer for Cedarville emailed me back an hour later and said they're going to be working on the changes and resubmitting shortly.
Okay. That's all good news. Thank you for doing that work. The part that I don't understand, and I've worked with Samantha all week, is the actual escrow account. Does anybody know how we create who creates the escrow account? We have the escrow agreement in place.
So the escrow account would be, it would need to be set up. The council would have to consider a motion to open the escrow account to place the money in. Once the borough council agrees, I believe it would kick to the treasurer. The treasurer would take hold of handling the documentation to open that account, and then the Borough of Parkside would place the escrow funds in that escrow account, which are then used to pay for the review of Catania's review of all the documents that have been submitted. I did check in with Ms. Purcival prior to the meeting, just to make sure that I did not have it mixed up in my head, and Ms. Purcival, you so kindly told me that in the past, the borough has had and still maintains some escrow accounts in accordance with the escrow agreement and just best practices. It's best to just open another escrow account for that fund instead of commingling those funds with any other. So it also did not make it onto the agenda tonight, so we would need a motion to add and then a motion to approve.
Okay, so I make a motion to add an agenda item regarding an escrow account for the stormwater project at the Greentree Homeowners Association.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of adding, questions about adding to the agenda? Okay. All in favor of adding to the agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve the escrow agreement and create an escrow account for the stormwater project being completed by the Greentree Homeowners Association.
Second, but I guess I do have a quick question. Can it be an escrow account basically on our general ledger? .500 escrow account, and then the funds
Set it up
just...
on the general ledger.
Yeah, so it just stays...
It'll have a cash account and then a liability account at the bottom, and then what'll happen is as we pay bills, we'll record it against the liability, and then we'll make a request to reimburse the general fund with the money from the escrow.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to TD Bank to make another bank account.
Okay.
We are going to keep it in a separate bank
Yeah,
account.
there's-
But
Yes,
it will
it
be
needs to
separate.
be a separate
It
account.
will be on the general ledger,
But it won't be another
in a
report.
bank account.
Okay.
Okay, so, any other questions about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So moved. Thank you.
So as soon as that's open, the check can be placed in.
Okay. So have you received that check already? Do you know?
I do not know.
It was, you received it on Monday, right? As a FedEx?
Correct.
Okay.
That's in the president's mailbox.
Okay.
Just needs to- Yeah, I can just give that to her.
Okay.
All right. Who's next? You are. Solicitor.
Solicitor report. Did you look at that? Just reporting general progress. We continue to receive a plethora of right-to-know requests. We are continuing to review and respond as appropriate. I have to say, Timika has been doing a wonderful job keeping up with them and making sure that everything goes out and goes out properly, and she's been doing a great job finding records. So I would like to thank Ms. Stamis for all of her assistance with getting these done. But besides that, general progress.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now we are on to call to citizens. My favorite part.
Andrew Slaw. I think get something clear here with all the arguments going on. We're going to pay $62.50 per hour to cover this, the police coverage, is that correct?
Yes.
Does that start, when does that start? When do we start paying this amount of
It
money?
started, I don't know
It
when the
started
first
at the
bills are
beginning of the
coming
month,
in.
but we don't,
It started in the beginning of August?
yes, we haven't received any bills yet.
And where would this money come out of?
It'll come out of the general fund.
Okay. The other question is the money still, that we were supposed to go, at the last meeting, said the money for the sinkhole was come out of the COVID fund? Is that correct?
We believe that the COVID money should more than cover it.
And it's properly called ARPA, the American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA.
Okay,
It's not.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But that's where the money's going to come out of that, not out of general fund.
Sure.
That's what we're planning on. We haven't crossed that bridge on how to fund it yet, but that's the general idea.
Excuse me, but I thought that was already planned. I could say that we were going to plan the sinkhole with that money and not from general fund.
It really doesn't matter whether you call it that money or that money, it's still money,
But it's two different, to me, it's two different accounts. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, if you'd like to think of it that way, then yes, we will be paying for it using the money that we got from the ARPA program.
It would fall under infrastructure. That's the only
Okay,
clarification I would make. So there were specific allocations for the ARPA, formerly known COVID funds, to be used for infrastructure. And this project, to date, appears to fit the parameters that they have set out for us to use it for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anna, I have a question. Do you know what the word transparency and progress means? Because I don't think you do. Transparency involves in being completely visible and open to scrutiny, so that it is clear that nothing is being hidden. The sense of the word is especially used in the context of political reasons and government agencies. Do you know what it means?
I do now, yes, thank you.
But you don't use it.
This is not.
If you do, I didn't ask you.
Oh.
If you do, then why don't you show it? You sure didn't show it to Nick and the rest of the inspectors. You put their business, you let your friends, and you had it on your Facebook too, about what Nick made in extra. But you did not tell the residents that if Nick gets 11,000, the borough gets 11,000. If Rob gets 5,000, the borough gets 5,000. You never told them that. You only told them what you wanted them to know. Am I correct?
I believe that I said that, well, the costs went up together, but yeah, we all know that
you did not
when there
state
is
that.
an inspection, that half goes to the inspector.
You did not state that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And especially when Kyle made sure it was plastered all over pages. And you allowed that, and Michael just reamed Shirley out for, and so did you, for a post, but yet you allow all different posts on your Facebook, and you get them to put it under their name so that it doesn't look like a jail.
Okay, this is just
Okay?
accusations. Do you have anything
No,
regarding
yes,
the
I did.
borough?
So you want to shut me up, but why don't you shut up sometimes and listen to the residents, because you don't. I want to know if you pick on Nick because you want him going that bad, and that's your way of getting it done by having your other people do it instead of you. To me, you are not showing transparency at all. That is called being a sneak and a snake.
Name calling, thank you.
That's what it's, do you want me to read you the definitions? I can read the definitions too.
About 2 minutes left here.
Oh, I did a time, but nobody else did?
Nobody
Okay.
went on for this
I
one.
got you. We'll talk to a lawyer. We got this. If there's transparency, then why do you not, you sit up there and you text, we watched it, multiple meetings now. You text to the audience and we watched them write it down and then get up and talk.
Oh my God.
It's on video. Would you like
I'm
to go
sorry.
back and look at this
I
month's
apologize
meeting?
for laughing, I'm just,
Oh, but he laughed, he made fun of her for laughing.
I just
Oh, but you
apologize.
can laugh all night long. This question is, I guess it's to you since Mr. Peters not here. Why didn't he attend the firehouse and the brigade meeting, but yet we pay him, we hired him. He is all of our employees. But Sam goes. Why? Why just Sam? I know she works for him, but we didn't hire Sam. We hired Peter. Am I correct?
You technically hired the firm of Rudolph Clark.
But it says Peter how do you say his last name?
Amuso.
Amuso. That's what it says on the thing. Correct?
I could pull up the letter if you would like me to look through it.
Go ahead.
Okay, I can look through the system.
And my other question is right to news. Yeah, oh my God, you say it every time I get up here. Why are certain people's right to news answered? And they make sure it's answered because you give them the right to answer that. But I know several people have written right to news and not got answered. And if they did, that what they wanted to know was blacked out. Why? Why is there a difference? Because we're Republican and they're Democrats? That's what it comes down to.
I processed the warrant, so I'm just curious which one's blocked out.
Yeah, no, it's hypothetical, it's not really a question.
It is a question.
The things that are blacked out are
But my
for
big
privacy.
thing is, this is my big question. Who's president, you or Scott Sidlow? Because he interrupts all the time. And you don't say nothing to him. But the minute anybody else interrupts, you correct them. Scott's not the president, you are.
Okay, I'll
You
keep that
need to
in mind.
act like one.
Thank you for your comments.
We're coming every time.
I know.
I was quiet last meeting.
Hi, Dina Sweeney. I sent an email back in April about a piece of metal sticking up out of the ground at the woodlot. And now, it's still like that. And the two benches on each side of it are falling apart. There's more metal exposed. If we don't clean this up by the time the kids are on that hill sledding, they're not going to have a permit and they're not going to have insurance because they don't have to. So I would please get that cleaned up before somebody gets hurt. That's
This is the
head
first I've
level
seen it.
on
I did
sled.
not get the email or I would have addressed it.
I emailed every single person on this.
I sent Ryan down there, and Ryan said that it was deteriorating more than what it's been, and he never replied what we were going to do to take care of it, but I'll send him back down there and see what we can do.
I'll look at it.
If we have the tools and stuff, the Public Works Department will tear it down.
Okay, great. Because I've been going to that hill for 20 years and I didn't see someone get hurt. It's right at head level on a sled. Another issue is with the soliciting. Apparently there was more people going around. And I don't mind people coming to my door because I have a 120-pound dog next to me, so it doesn't matter. But some people get scared when people come to their door. And some people have no soliciting signs, and they're not being respected. So other places like Aston and Brookhaven have a fine if you don't listen to that no soliciting sign. I don't know if you need to educate the people when they get their permit or whatever, but I think that there's a lot of people in this community that would like to see some things change in the ordinance on that. And that's all.
The Ordinance Review Committee has reviewed the...
I know, but I'm bringing it back to your attention again because it was another issue again.
That's not a bad thing to add, that if somebody has a sign, that it should be respected.
It's appropriate.
Yeah.
There was Power Homes and Windows, and they showed me their permit, and unfortunately it was from Brookhaven. I had to let them know they weren't in Brookhaven. So I know that sounds like a strange thing to say, but we do have the same, we have the same zip code. You know, I don't think they were there for malicious reasons.
No, I understand.
They
And
showed me the permit.
I don't, like I said, I don't personally care if people come to my door. I see a lot of complaints on Facebook and a lot of fear about it, so.
I think we only had the one permit. Tamika, is that
Yes,
correct? Just the one that we've granted, and that's because they knew what our law said, so we couldn't deny them.
Right. And I commend you for going with the law and doing what you are supposed to do, but I think that we need something else in the law.
I don't
to protect
disagree.
people who don't want solicitors at their door.
I totally agree with you.
And in the meantime, if you know somebody's soliciting and they don't show you their permit, you should, if it's during business hours, contact the office so that we can address it. And make sure that, because we do have an ordinance for soliciting, and if they don't have a permit, then they can't solicit. So we can enforce it, but it needs, to your point about public education, people need to, let the office know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sarah Haynes.
Nobody wrote their addresses down yet.
We've had some people object to giving their addresses because it seems like a lack of privacy. I really am not one to enforce that, nor the recording in the meetings. If people want to record, I consider this a public place.
It was suggested that Rob is advocating against our taxpayers and how our taxpayer money is spent. But what I see is Rob is advocating for those in support of the fire company. I don't believe that means he's working against the taxpayers. It was also said to write an email to be read by the Secretary for Correspondence. Emails and correspondences are not being read by the Secretary. I've been told that they need to be approved by President and a guide before they are read. The email I sent was just advertising my snack and drink drive for the firehouse. It seems there is a lot of energy being used searching Facebook for comments against Shirley. Can that energy please be diverted to answering her emails so these conversations are handled before these meetings so they're not 3 hours long?
Okay. Can Shirley devote less energy to like constantly hyping and sniping on us?
Scott, just public comment.
Council is in need of more police for our public safety, but there is a double standard when it comes to their own employees. There are people who are upset about our code enforcement with him using a car. They need to get to know Nick because during the school year, every single morning, he's out there on Edgemont Avenue in that car with his lights on, helping to slow down traffic for the safety of our children. I feel like that is in support of our public safety, and that isn't a lot of the cost for what he provides. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tim Hall, President of the Village of Greentree. Just wanted to come up here and just discuss the project that we're embarking on. We've been working on it for a long time. We hired an engineering company to not just assist us, but to oversee the entire project. Because this is something that's way out of our wheelhouse. So and we're happy that we've been able to make contact with Catania Engineering and hopefully can move ahead with permits.
Yes.
We were hoping to break ground on this in the spring or summer at the latest because it's going to require some good weather for us to complete the project, but once we start, we anticipate that we'll be able to move along as long as all the permits are.
I believe it's close.
Good. So we will make sure that whatever needs to be supplied to keep the project moving is there. Cooperate and communicate whenever necessary. Looks like we have the line of communications open now, so we're happy about that and looking forward to getting moving and providing whatever needs to be provided. But anyway, thanks for all your attention on this and wish us luck because it's a big project.
I'm very happy for you that you're getting this done. I remember when I first learned of the problem that you have down there, and so I'm really glad that you're able to get this done.
And it's a culmination of about 10 years of fits and starts with different organizations and project managers and so forth, but I think we're on the right course now. So with everybody in lockstep and cooperation, I think we can move ahead with this and get this very important project taken care of.
Tim, can you describe what the problem is and what the project will do? Can you give us more kind of background on a bigger picture of what's going on?
I'll give you an overview. It would probably be better if the engineer was here to give you a specific, but what we want to do is make sure that this pipe has pretty much reached its lifespan and needs to be addressed. That's why we have spoken to several different engineering companies over the years and finally been able to settle with Cedarville. We've been very happy with them. They've given us the options that we could use to make this pipe, I believe, safer. It's deteriorating to a degree, and so we've had it inspected, cameraed several times. There will have to be a lot of steps along the way to get it prepared for the eventual completion, but it's all to make sure that we can convey water to the property when we have, I'd say, a remarkable stormwater event. Otherwise, most of the time it's a babbling brook or not even. But we want to make sure that it's viable and it's able to do what it's intended. And when it's completed, we've been told that it'll be good for 50 years. So, looking forward to getting that done. It's a first step in a 3-part project. So, we're looking forward to getting it underway. And thanks for listening to me. And if there's ever any questions.
So, once construction starts, do you have a sense of how long construction will take?
Not exactly, but there'll be some cleaning. It's going to be very important that once they start a certain process, there's going to be a few different, my understanding, a few different groups working together to complete the project, making sure everything is prepared, and then going in and doing the project. There's measures that have to be taken to divert in the event of a storm. A lot of moving parts. As I said, way more than board members and homeowners should be undertaking. That's why we've taken the steps to get an engineering company to oversee the project for us and make sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted.
Do you have a sense of how the travel will be impacted, or how residents will be impacted by any closures or anything, or you're maybe not familiar with that part of the project?
Yeah, there will be, all that will be provided for by the engineering company and the contractors that they're working with. So if there is any period of time when a road needs to be detoured or something like that, we'll make sure to communicate that to the borough, the engineering company, us, whatever it takes to make sure that any inconvenience or anything like you just mentioned it should come up. But those are all the type of things that are included in the specs by the engineering company. I don't have the exact dates and times and things they're going to have to do that, but I do know that they're going to want, when they're going to be working on the pipe, they're going to have to make sure that there's measures taken that in the event that there was a storm, that it would be able to have, convey water based on whatever way they know how to do that, out of my pay grade. But we've been working on this for a long time. That's why we wanted to make sure and found out that we definitely need somebody to work with us, to work with the borough to make sure that everything's done right the first time. Because we don't really have any room for error on a project in the scope. But I would say that from the time we break ground, I can't imagine it would continue more than a month.
Okay.
But that's what I can't imagine.
Yeah.
If there's an update to that, be happy to let you know. I'll keep you posted along the way. We'll want to be too, so I can definitely keep you in the loop on that.
That sounds like a fair estimate.
Ken, if emergency services are going to be impacted, the chief and I need to know, so we have a game plan if we need to get in and out of there.
Good to know, absolutely. Yeah, any any measures that we have to take to
No,
accommodate
just,
that? Or-
just let us know so we can act accordingly.
Absolutely, I'll make sure that.
Because we have surrounding departments coming in also, so we'd have to have some type of little organizational meeting with the surrounding communities that provide emergency services also.
Most definitely.
Last thing we want to do is not get to somebody because of it. So we just cover ourselves.
100%, couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, if any questions ever come up or any information that anybody would like to request, I think we're an open book about this. It's, like I said, it's a big project and we want to get it right. So looking forward to working together on that. So, well, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night. And thanks for everything all you are doing. I've been on the board at Greentree for like 25 years or better. So I can appreciate what everybody here is doing, taking the time out to handle the business of the borough. So thank you.
Good. Congratulations on your project.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Nicole Boyers. Just some ideas. I know that the ordinance for the solicitation is getting worked on. I did some research into the E-code of Brookhaven for some ideas, because this really kind of hit home with me the last council meeting. I figured let me do a little bit more of what I can do to maybe share some ideas. So Brookhaven charges $500, and I believe it's per month, and their expiration date is 60 days. They also require a background check. They want a photograph of who's going door to door, and also like a written physical description. So I guess if someone calls in and say, hey, I got this guy, he looks like this, and then someone like Timika can say, oh yeah, yep, he's got a permit. Oh no, they don't. Something needs to be done about that. However, I mean, I've looked into like Eddystone and stuff. I mean, they charge like $20 and it's good for a year. And I'm like, no, I don't think we want to go that low. But just to see what Brookhaven does, because we are neighboring, we do respect what they do. Those are some ideas. The other thing too is, I don't know if this is also on our books, but like, they don't allow like, what they call soliciting for alms, I guess is the proper terminology, basically like asking for donations
Begging.
door to door. I don't know if that's been added in or not, if we want to allow that or not, if we don't. But I figure if we're going to change it one time and we're going to smack the E-code and pay the fees and all that, we might as well, get it all done in one shot. But just wanted to share some ideas of what I saw from a neighboring borough of what can be added. And I think things like the background check is probably a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to do what we can legally do to make it not fun to solicit in Parkside.
Hi, Madam. Just a 30-second question. Ken Rolstein again. Just a 30-second question and no answer tonight. So, Madam President, I would ask the possibility if council and perhaps the engineer would consider if there are residual funds left over, federal funds left over after the Edgemont Avenue project, as to whether any of those funds could be allocated towards the examination of that failed stormwater inlet on Parkside Terrace.
I am keeping you in mind.
Pretty severe, I think you know the issue. I think Mr.
It affects more than just you.
Powers, Mr. Capobianco. I would appreciate that if that's possible.
Lisa knows, Lisa Catania knows too.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
Yes, we'll definitely keep you in mind.
Thank you.
Judy Saunders. Since we're doing definitions of words, projection, the unconscious transference of person's emotions, actions, and desires onto another person. I have been standing at this podium for more than a decade before any Democrat got on here, and every word I have ever spoken has been my own. To be accused that I am somebody's puppet or mouthpiece, I don't appreciate. I was here when I wrote letters And all the letters that disparaged every Democrat were read with glorious detail. And the very next month, my letter was found to be too divisive, and without a vote, was decided that we weren't going to read correspondence anymore. We just simply weren't. We weren't going to put it in the record. We weren't going to do anything. We were just going to put it in a dark hole. So if residents did have a problem, I was here when my 17-year-old daughter was doxxed at her work, and my address was given out, and my work address was given out by a member of this council who encouraged people to throw trash at me, to throw cans at me, and other things. I have put this all in the past. I am still here volunteering for this community because it isn't about just being a Democrat or a Republican. We are Parksidians. We live here. We are neighbors. We are family. We are friends. We are people. We don't like each other. We're fine, just like every other family. And to have it constantly be divisive, it is not because the voters decided they want to change and Democrats came on board. It is because the refusal to play with the team you were given. We can all work together. If you are all here to support this neighborhood, then do it. Stop the petty bullshit. Sorry. Stop the petty bullshit. It's done. There are a lot of people, residents, who took a lot on the chin, a lot, when it was all Republicans, when they were treated badly, when they were disparaged publicly on Facebook repeatedly, and they all took it, and they're still here. I'm still here. We're here because it's our neighborhood. It's where we live. It's where we work, and it shouldn't be like this. It's time, if I can move past it, when my kid received death threats on her car. You know about it, you know about it. I wrote letters.
I don't know anything
I wrote
about
a
this.
letter to you and to Mrs. Purcival.
I truly.
And
would
I
like to
literally,
police
and I got
investigate
no
it.
response.
I truly do not know
None.
what you're
She was
talking about.
17 years old. It's fine. She's now 20, she can handle herself. It's over. What I'm asking is that we move forward. We stop the petty shit. We just stop it. We can all figure out there's a way. A question about where our money is going is not an attack on the firehouse. I support the firehouse. We literally, my husband is crazy that I send food to the firehouse every single month. Every single month. The cornhole guys ate it last night because they couldn't find anybody to take it to the meeting. I support the firehouse. Every single year, I give my donation to the firehouse. Every single year, I do that. Okay? I'm not dissing the firehouse if I want to know where my tax dollars are being spent. That's a legitimate question. If I want to know how much code enforcement costs someplace else, and quite frankly, I'm going to say this again, I don't have a problem with Nick. If Nick is the best solution for this community, if somebody here in this community has a more vested interest, I'm fine with that. But me asking a question is not me attacking him. Me wanting to get information because that's the way I process it is not an attack. And it shouldn't be looked at as an attack. And I shouldn't be condemned for asking a question. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Nadine Brandt. I came with two questions, but I have something that was bugging me. When I came here tonight, you were talking about the lack of shifts for the police force, and my question to everyone in this room is, how does Todd Bennett know our open shifts if you guys didn't know? Who's telling him something? He's an agitator. He no longer lives here. So who has access to our police shifts? The mayor? The police chief? Who's telling him that we have open shifts? Nobody should be feeding that man information. He is an agitator. Don't tell people important stuff like that don't even live here. The next thing is, I guess this is addressed to our engineer, I'm not quite sure. Last summer, I was up here and I asked if we could get the crosswalk white lines painted on all of our corners. The response was, I think maybe from Nick, somebody recalled it hadn't been done in perhaps 7 years. I think maybe 2 or 3 sets of lines were done, but lots of streets were not done. Parkside has a lot of walkers between us and also people in Chester who walk up to the shopping centers. There's no lines at all. My street's not done. So I can give you, I would expect to drive around and look at the crosswalks that are not there. I'm on East Avon, so East Avon and Edgemont.
So that's Public Works.
Okay.
And there's no crosswalks going anywhere in the borough except for Edgemont Avenue.
And
So
Roland.
there's like little strips of white where they used to be. Like there's a,
There's usually, the only thing you'll see on our side streets would be a line for where the stop sign is. And it's about 8 foot long, 2.5 inches wide. Other than that, there's no crosswalks painted anywhere.
I believe.
Can we get them in?
Just right here.
School and Roland.
That's the school wall.
And Roland.
And then Edgemont Avenue, all along Edgemont Avenue, east
So
to
they-
west, north to south.
So they
Nowhere else in the
were-
borough.
They were there and we let them wear out? Because there's little strips where they used to be and they're all,
You're on where?
East Avon.
East
And at
Avon.
the corner of Edgemont.
Oh,
there's
East
two-
Avon and Edgemont,
Yeah, there's 2 little strips.
So
like-
again, and I hate to tell you this, but
It's
it's
okay,
Chester.
they-
The street's Chester. We only own to the curb on East Avon.
Well, could there be some kind of conversation with them that those lines?
I could try.
Okay. And then like also Gray Street in Edgemont, there's nothing there. Like
Gray
we have
Street?
the little red, I don't know what they're called, for wheelchairs so you don't slide out in the street.
The bumps.
Warning surface.
Yeah, they're there and then there's no crosswalk lines.
Yeah,
And
so-
then, one Edgemont, north and south at Roland, there's a traffic light and you can see where the lines used to be, but they're not.
So we paint those crosswalks pretty much yearly. And then we try to get PennDOT in to paint the other ones. And the only success I think Lisa had was when we had road work done and we hired a firm to come in and paint the arrows left and right on West Roland to Edgemont, and they painted the crosswalks in that corner. Other than that, it's pretty tough to shut down Edgemont Avenue. I usually go out and paint the crosswalks at 5 in the morning so we don't get ran over, because it's pretty difficult to do. I think the last time we painted the Vascar lines, Chief, we painted the Vascar lines and the crosswalks on Edgemont Avenue, we did them ourselves. So, but we definitely could look into that. But as far as painting crosswalks off of Edgemont Avenue on side roads, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
What about when PennDOT supposedly repaves Edgemont?
Then we can nail them.
Then they can.
They do.
But we'll do our best to do the rest, especially school time's coming. So
Yeah, because there's a lot of walk.
yeah, we'll get them done.
Okay. And the last thing is addressed to Ms. Purcival. It kind of echoes what Michael was saying. I wanted to thank you for everything that you do. Your intensive knowledge of how to run a municipality is very valued, as well as your years of dedication, very appreciated. But all that being said, the residents of Parkside would like you to stop the long rants on Facebook. There has to be better communication, because the rant, although it explains something, it just resonates anger, bitterness, and that you can't communicate with everybody here. Our president should have everything that she needs at her fingertips, just like you did. Whether it's a financial report, how much somebody makes, a file she can't find, you probably had access to it, and she needs it too. So when you're talking about something and she's giving information, and then we're all reading on Facebook like these paragraph-long things that are just going on and on and on, but what you're really saying is you're not stopping to talk to her and sit down, say, look, here's the information, let's dig through this, just work it out. There's so much bitterness. Attacking the people that you work with. I even read that you called the council a dictatorship. Like, that's not, it's just not grown up. Like, just please stop doing that.
And I thank you, and I'd like to address that. I truly thank you for the initial compliment. When I, as an elected official, sitting in the chair, not in that chair, have to continually send an email to get any type of communication, and then I'm ignored, it brings out the frustration. As you heard, Mrs. Guy has already twice started at me, and that's a political thing. I'm sure it's a partisan attack coming next. And I will agree with Mr. Costigan. Somewhere, somehow, the snips at each other has to stop. I don't know how to stop it.
You can start by not typing.
Will you stop interrupting?
You're not the president's guy.
I have said on social media, please stop this. I have said it in several posts. If you've read anything, I have said, please stop this. Mrs. Saunders has had ballot points since February, I believe. How do I, as an elected, please feel my frustration. As an elected official, when I ask for, and I've asked for 3 or 4 months, different communications, either I get no response through email, so then I have to bring it up at a public meeting like I did tonight, or it's like, yeah, and I never get any information that other people have. I'm sorry I'm long-winded on those posts. I know I am, and I promise you personally, I will try to do better for you and the residents. I promise you. Thank you.
All right, on to old business. Is there any old business that needs to be discussed? Going once, going twice? New business. We have a new business item. Is that you, Mr. Costigan?
Yeah, so a resident came to me with an idea for a community bulletin board, and I think it's a great idea personally. Somewhere prominent in the borough, which we could discuss as a council and hopefully with the public as well. Somewhere to put a bulletin board that everybody knows where it's at and you can go to get information, because we have social media and the website and the office, but sometimes those things just don't work for everybody. So it would just be another way of communicating what's going on, events or issues in the borough. And so I wanted to bring that up to council and see what your thoughts were. And I want to thank Kyle Palmer for putting these together. I did not personally find this information, but there's a lot of different options we can consider, different prices. To Mrs. Purcival's point, I don't know the specifics of shipping, and it depends on what exactly we would decide to do, if we decide to do anything. But these are just some ideas to consider, and then if we want to move forward with it, I can do more research. So if anybody has any thoughts, I'd be open to hearing those.
I really like the idea. I hope we can table it tonight because it's almost 9:30.
Yeah, no, I was not planning to vote on it.
It would be neat at the woodlot, but Mr. Sweigart brings up a solid point that updating it now becomes somebody's job as far as that, and
It'll be vandalized the first night it's there.
Well, were we talking about the woodlot or outside the borough office?
Well, it could be, I didn't have anywhere in mind. I mean, outside Borough Hall, maybe at the woodlot is an idea.
I personally don't think we should spend any money until we resolve the police. We don't know what the price tag's going to be with uncovered shifts. I mean, I'm afraid, I really am.
But could we at least get a price for, I like this one that's pictured. Could we get a price for the poles, the actual board and installation and shipping? At least give us a start point as to, I mean, it could go at the Borough Hall.
it's going to be $1,000.
You think?
Doesn't hurt.
I mean, no, get the numbers. I mean, why not?
I mean, one idea I had was,
Yeah.
I don't know if we could do it, but hanging it somewhere. I mean, Mr. Powers, you would have a better idea. I don't know if you could hang that anywhere. Like I was thinking, I don't know if you could do it, but on the side of the garage.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places
So that way, I mean, we at least
to think
save.
about. Right now, I'm just
No,
concerned
yeah.
about money.
Yeah, I
That's all.
hear that, yeah.
I'm with Andy back there.
But that would save us like close to $200 at least without the shipping if we decided not to do the posts, just as an idea. But we can just, discuss it more moving forward and see what happens.
Do more research.
Yep, sure.
Is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Really? You want to adjourn? Everyone in favor? Is everyone in favor? Anyone opposed? Go.